Hey there, this is Joanne Francis, and welcome to my broadcast. Today we're going to talk about unlearning everything that it is you have already learned. As we go through our lives, depending on how long you've been walking this earth, we have learned, you have learned, I have learned, we have all learned so much. We have learned through every one of our experiences, the good, the bad, the ugly. We have learned through other people's experiences, the good, the bad, the ugly. And if we haven't learned enough through living life in general, then we've learned quite a bit from this thing called the internet, now through our cell phones. And the problem with that is that as we walk into all new circumstances, all new events, all new life situations, we are bringing along with us all that we have learned. It's so important that we forget what we have learned so that we can be open to learning something new. And I just had this most recent experience of understanding truly, not just that I had to unlearn so much of what I've learned, but that I had to put what I now know into practice. And what I now know is that every single moment is an opportunity for something new and wonderful to be created. For the majority of my lifetime walking this earth and through all of my past experiences, when I have met new people, I have automatically sensed them, I've read them, and guess what? They have done the same thing to me. And it's through that we have this automatic reaction, and we go back into our past, and it's like our brains are like like the computers, the hard drive memory on our computers. And all of a sudden, all of the lessons we have learned pop through, and it affects and influences every one of those new moments. And the recent experience I had, I just finished it off. What a wonderful lesson for me to learn. What a wonderful way to understand that this is how this big ball of energy works, this earth and this universe that we live on, and just how big me, myself, and I, this big ball of energy that I am, and how I work and operate in this world. I really, truly had to unlearn everything that I learned. And today, when I went to the post office to pick up my mail, I was given proof of the very fact that every moment is a new opportunity to create something wonderful. And as I picked up my mail from my postmaster at the post office, I will admit to you that up until today, I really had it in my head that that person had no interest in me, let alone anybody. I didn't take it personally, but through all of the interactions that I've had with this individual up until today, it was a very terse relationship. They didn't seem very happy where they were, and I felt that I was intruding on them and making their day even worse, when the reality was I just wanted to pick up my mail. I consider myself a friendly person, and I try to be open and welcoming to all new opportunities. But you know, all of the experiences that I've had in the past come back and they haunt you. And that's how they haunt you, because after the first meeting of this individual and her just simply doing her job, I made this assumption, I passed this judgment on the situation. It's important to understand when I say judgment of what that means. We can pass judgment on somebody in an inferior way where we see them and we're like, please, you are nothing to me. And we pass this negative, nasty judgment. But then there's also just the way we judge situations. And so in this particular case, I judged the situation, and maybe I wasn't wrong at the time, because it was clear she wasn't very happy, but it didn't have anything to do with me. And so every time I went in to that post office, I went in with that new beginning in mind, that it didn't matter that they had a bad day. It didn't matter that the person replacing them one day just outright refused to do their job. But as I drove home, I began to go back and understand what I have learned recently. And that is that people can have their life. They are allowed to live their life, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. Let them live it. So whatever was going on in that individual that day had nothing to do with me. Absolutely nothing. They were just choosing to not do their job, the job they're paid for, the job that we all pay for, basically. And you know what? That's okay. So when I went back a few days later, I actually laughed when I shared the regular postmaster the story that I came in to get my mail. And you know, I didn't care. I didn't go in with that demanding tone that I have learned from the past, that I have learned from many people, that I will demand what it is I want. You will do as I say. And guess what? That just is not the case. We are all allowed to have our moments, whether they're good, they're bad, indifferent, or in this case, ugly, because none of that matters at the end of the day. And so I chose to not allow that individual to mess my day up, or let alone my life up, if you will. And so I took what I had learned, that I've learned from growing up, that you will do as I say if you are the hired hand, if you will. But I learned that it doesn't matter anymore, because they are allowed to live their life. It has no influence on mine. And so when you are looking for transformation in your life, whether it is for you alone or if you are hoping that you can transform the world, the transformation must come from you first, and you must unlearn all that you have already learned, and you must forget, truly forget, all of the negative experiences that have happened up to this moment in time. You see, you are this big ball of energy, and whatever that energy is, whether it is the positive energy flowing through you or whether it is the negative energy flowing through you, you have control over yourself and the choices you make as to what type of energy that you have flowing through you, and most importantly, the energy coming to you. You see, that individual at the post office was very negative. Whatever was going on in her life was very negative. And I could have easily allowed and received her negativity. And I could have come home and been up in arms, because how dare she not give me my mail? How dare she? But I didn't allow for that to happen. I've been changing my energy system so that it is positive instead of negative. And so as I walk through this life and I see and I enjoy all the beautiful things that life is bringing to me, I am bringing more beauty to me, you see. And so in this particular instance, as I went back the next day or a couple of days later, and I laughed in a jovial way about that experience with the regular postmaster, she heard that in my voice. And today, when I went in to pick up my mail, we actually had a lovely conversation back and forth, and she asked how I was doing living here now in my new situation. And you know, as I smiled and I responded, I knew that I have unlearned something that I had learned for the first 58 some years of my life. And that is so powerful, because you see, it's the momentum in your energy system that you must pay attention to. Because if I had allowed all of the negative experiences in my life, or if I have allowed what I had learned to do, which was, if I don't get my way, I'm going to be mad and tell somebody and get somebody in trouble or complain about it. If I had done that, then I wouldn't have had that beautiful exchange that I just had with the regular postmaster. But you see, I didn't allow that person's negativity to enter my system. I repelled it because I have this positive energy flowing through me. The momentum of my own personal power system, my inner self, is on a positive note. And the negative note that that person tried to inflict upon me, whether she meant to intentionally or not, doesn't matter. It didn't happen because the positive momentum is flowing. If it was the opposite, if I was having a terrible day and I had this negative energy flowing through me, this momentum of negativity, and I walked in there and that person dared to tell me that I wasn't able to get my mail that day, well, I would have lit into them. Although probably politically correctly and with the fake smile and all of that nonsense that we have learned how to do beautifully, then she would have reacted to me and I would have reacted to her. And whether we wanted to or not, we would have co-created something not so great. But the momentum was there. The positive energy was flowing so that whatever it was, her nonsense was, it didn't matter. And so, just as I say, every moment, every beautiful breath that you take is an opportunity for you to start anew. And so when I walked in the next day, or excuse me, why do I keep saying that? When I went back to pick up my mail, I was able to tell her that story on a note of laughter and of lightness, because it told my regular postmaster that I was okay, that I wasn't going to be one of those people that whined and complained and moaned when something didn't go my way. And so that action, that positive approach to that negative action resulted in today's beautiful moment, or creation of several beautiful moments between me and that other human being. And it was lovely because the momentum was the correct momentum, you see, going into it. If I had taken it opposite, if I had come home from that day and called and whined and complained to somebody, you know that it would have eventually gotten back to that regular postmaster, and who knows whether she would have known. It doesn't matter that she would have known it was me. What would matter was she would have had a negative momentum of energy flowing through her because she got taken care of, if you will, by the powers that be that are above her. So you see, what you want out of this world, you can have out of this world. It is what you put forth. And when you put forth all the positive momentum that you are seeking for, that you are asking for, that you are praying for, that you are writing for and exercising for, you have that beautiful power within you. But you have to first unlearn all it is that you have learned. It is difficult enough in this world to walk through this life and stay positive. It is difficult. But when you begin to learn a new perspective of how you look at things and how you act, how you react, then it starts to build and build. And it's just like that ball of that bowling ball headed for those pins, 10 pins at the end of the lane. The faster it'll go, the stronger it'll go, and boom, you have this big, beautiful ball of energy that you can't wait to get out in this world and show and be and explore. Because at that point in time, you will now begin to see all the beautiful things that this world offers. You know, we've been trained to do the opposite. We're trained to be these little soldiers, and we're trained to walk strong and keep our face and our head straight. But at the same time, because we're so focused on being that strong, capable warrior, we are blinding ourselves to all the soft, beautiful, natural things that are meant to be yours, that are meant to be mine, that are meant to be ours. Life is hard. Life can be hard now, today, with all of the conveniences that we have. But the change and the transformation begins with you. And step one is for you to completely unlearn all it is that you have learned. And you too will begin to have these experiences where all of a sudden it's like this cloud has lifted and you now see things in this different way. And so today I learned that by staying positive, by understanding that every single breath is an opportunity for something new, and for every single event or every new segment, if you will, in our lives is an opportunity for you to put forth your best effort for mankind, for humanity, because we are all wonderful people. We are all capable of being kind, of being generous, of showing compassion, of being empathetic to people, no matter what the situation is. But what we've been trained to do, what we've been taught to do, what we've learned to do through our own experiences is to keep those people away, to know that just don't even worry, they don't exist, because if I do, it's going to pull me down. And the opposite is true. When you see those people and you understand and allow them, like I did with that one person, allow them to live in the muck if that's where they choose to be. Because by me staying positive, by me smiling and saying, okay, because I get it, I understand now, you're having a terrible day, it has nothing to do with me, I'm going to say, have a great day and go on my way. And that is how you work through those moments of contrast where you're faced with that negative energy and you just flow right through because you've got this big ball of beautiful, positive energy flowing through you right now. Which would you like? How would you like to live your day? Would you like to live it in a beautiful way? Would you like to be able to walk out and see everything in this world in a beautiful way? Start by unlearning all of your past experiences, all of those things that you have heard, all of the stories that you have heard. And the one way that you do that is to stop talking in a negative way when you are conversing with people about things that are going on. We fill our lives with conversations, and these conversations are loaded with negative words and negative energy because we're telling stories, whether we're telling stories about an experience that involves other people, whether we're telling stories about our own personal, or whether worse, we are telling stories, repeating stories that have this negative vibe and judgment in them about other people in our lives. I hear it day in and day out, whether I'm working behind the chair, whether I'm out in the world shopping, whether I'm having one-on-one counseling sessions with people. The stories that you tell are loaded with negative and bad energy. And when you say it to yourself, it's bad enough. But when you say it out loud, you are telling everybody and you are sucking them in to that negative flow of energy that you aren't even aware of because you've been taught, you've been formatted and conditioned to think that this is the normal way. Today, I would like for you to pay attention or think about yesterday and think about the conversations and all of the interactions that you had as you went through your day. Think about what you said. Think about what they said to you. Think about how those words really are in a negative context, and that that they are trying to fill your own personal energy system with this source of negativity that you aren't aware of, because it's this subtle energy that is affecting you and me and everybody around us. And because our whole world is now connected through this 24/7 Wi-Fi, through this 24/7 internet, through this subtle energy, this frequency of energy that now floats around us 24/7, all of the negative words and all of the negative energy can stick to you like glue. Think of those old-fashioned fly papers, they used to call it, right? I guess they're probably still around, and that you would hang them where the flies were, because the flies would touch it and then they were stuck. And so think about it that way, that as you live your day, when you are having conversations, when you are about to walk into a new moment of your day, what is it you would like that moment to be? Would you like it to be happy? Then tell yourself that you will have a happy experience. What is your objective? My objective is to have a wonderful meal with my family. What is your objective at work? My objective is to go in and just have a lovely day. Because what we've been trained, what we've been taught, is we get in that car and we're like, okay, work sucks, but I'm going to be okay. Work sucks, but I'm going to be okay. The negative undoes the positive. And so if you are using just as many negative ways to describe yourself or the world around you, you are negating all of the beauty and the positive world that is around you. It can't work both ways. So wipe out the negative, keep it all positive, and you will begin to feel that difference within you. Because what you've done is you have undone what you have learned. You have now learned this new way of staying positive, this new way of interacting with people, and you will begin to feel that subtle difference in yourself. It's not going to happen overnight. Imagine if somebody were to just come over like the little magic fairy and she goes bling, and now you're this big beautiful soul or this big beautiful positive person. You don't want it that way, because you will be teetering on an edge that when you fall, you could fall quite differently. You will fall in a way you do not want to fall. So change the way you think, change the way you speak, and get rid of all the negative words that you can, because it will begin to have a positive and wonderful effect on you. You know, it reminds me of a story of a woman that I met, and she was very, very down on herself. She had built this cinder block wall of negativity and self-loathing and self-hate of herself that she couldn't even begin to hear the words that I was trying to tell her. And she kept trying to tell me all of the details that led up to this disastrous moment, she said, those are her words, that she made the worst mistake in her life, her words. And she kept trying to tell me all the details that led up to that moment in time. And I kept trying to tell her, it doesn't matter any longer what you did before. What matters is right now. And guess what? You just told me that your daughter sent you this lovely letter, but you can't even hear what your daughter is screaming at you because of this big wall of negativity and self-loathing that you have of yourself. Move forward. Put it to rest. Stop thinking about all that you have already done, because it only brings the negative energy to the forefront. She was so blocked. I don't know whether I was able to help her or not, because she was so blocked that she couldn't hear anything that I said to her. And so when she begins to understand that everything and every experience that she had brought her to this moment in time, that all she has to do is take a deep breath and know that now, as with every breath she takes, is an opportunity to start something new. And that is you, that is me, that is all of humanity. Because we have to stop and unlearn all that it is we learn. That is simple, listen to me. That is step one. And as you begin the practice of unlearning all of that nonsense that has brought you to that moment, you will be open to learning so much more about yourself and this beautiful world that we live in, that when the contrast comes to you, you can see it for what it is and just let it go. Because you have no control over anything except for what you choose to tell yourself. So you choose what you want to tell yourself and keep it on a positive, lovely way, in a positive, lovely way, and you will begin to see the change in your day. That's my promise. Thank you.